welcome back to Lesson 3. Welcome, Simon.
Lesson 3, here we are. Hello, Pauline.
Have you been doing a bit of practice?
I have been. I think I'm getting a little better, yeah.
So have you got any questions?
Questions? No, I've done the template design. Now I'm up to dot to dot, so...
Okay, good.
I think you're...
You've got it all drawn out there.
Yeah, drawn out my pattern.
And if it's not perfect, don't worry. Sometimes when you trace it on, you don't get it quite perfect the first time. And it's always good to do a practice piece first before you actually start on your process of your quilt.
Yeah.
But it's always good. But, you know, just to recap a little bit of what we did in Lesson 2, we talked about the sew slip mat on the bed of the machine.
Yes, the settings on our machine.
Which was all about...
stitch length.
Stitch length and...
the open toe foot and the pressure foot.
And you learned how important that is, learning how to get the pressure off that foot is to make your quilting very, very easy.
And it was easy.
So great work, great work. So now we've got the dot to dot, we've got the little melons drawn here and a little nice design. So everything on the machine is set up as it was in Lesson 2. So anybody that didn't see Lesson 2, go back and rewatch, because that'll give you all the different things you need to do with the machine.
Yep.
So what we're going to do here, Simon, today is just make it really, really easy. You're just going to follow the line and, as I say, quilt the wave. In and out to get to the other end. Then you'll pivot and come back the other way.
Okay.
So you do all one section, all one way.
Right.
And then you come back and you go across.
Okay.
So just simply by turning it around and coming back that way. Now, you could be working on a much bigger piece than this because you've got plenty of room on your machine to work with. You know, this could be like a piece that's 60 centimetres square. You'd still be able to quilt it beautifully and then join it together onto other blocks. So it doesn't matter what size. I don't recommend this method for a really big quilt.
No.
This design would work really well on a big quilt because you don't have to turn the quilt too many times. But the hibiscus flower that you did in the second lesson, you would be turning it a lot if it was a big quilt.
No. You would only want to be working on a small block for that type of thing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. But it could be a whole centre medallion, which could be a metre square. You'd still be able to manoeuvre it under the machine. But if it was a queen size quilt, it wouldn't be as easy. So this method I've developed for quilt as you go quilts. Okay, so you know how to start, draw your bobbin thread up. Well, this is a good exercise here because you really don't need to draw your bobbin thread up because it's at the edge. You can just start sewing.
Oh, okay.
So you'd need to start on that 0 stitch length and increase your stitch length over those few stitches. And then off you go.
Foot down.
Needle down. Stitch length right down. Now, putting your stitch lengths down to start with is really going to anchor your threads off. Do a couple of stitches.
Oh, yeah.
Your needle come unthreaded, Simon.
I'm good at doing that.
Is your needle unthreaded? No, it was just the thread you need to put back behind you. So a couple of stitches on 0. Now increase your stitch length up to about 1.
1.
Couple of stitches, and you'll notice it just moves a little bit. Now go right up to 3.
To 3.
That's anchored your threads off beautifully.
There we go.
And off you go.
Same.
And just follow the wave. So simple, this one. You'll find this even easier than the last one. And this is where you have to work out, because we're only doing a very small pattern here. If you find that stitch length's a little bit too long, you'd need to reduce it back. But I think that's working fine there.
What would I notice that would tell me such a thing?
Well, if you stop, you can have a look here. See how the stitches are sitting nicely?
Yeah.
They're not wavering. If I went down, I'd just go down to about 2.8, just down a couple of little, and we might do that just so you can see the difference. Okay.
All right.
And you'll just get a few more stitches in each one of those little curves. It won't look so gappy. It's amazing just adjusting your stitch length for different shapes, how it makes a big difference. You're driving that nicely.
Stop About there?
Yep. Lift your foot and come back the other way. And like this is the simplest design you'll ever quilt, but I love it as a fill-in for background. Now, if you find that really easy to maneuver that around the curves, and if you find your threads a little bit loose, just stop for a moment. Let's put a little bit more pressure on and see what happens.
Oh.
See if it's easy, still easy to drive the... I think you've got a little bit more control with a little bit more pressure on that one. It's not as loose.
Yeah.
So, and this is what I need to encourage people to do. Learn about your machine and adjusting your settings to get it just perfect for whatever you're stitching out at the time. So I just felt that you had a little bit too much looseness there.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you. That feels better.
Feels better?
And the slightly shorter stitch length made a little difference
Exactly.
too.
And see, it's now stitching smoother for you.
Hmm.
Okay, so now you're just going to keep stitching those rows like that until you get it all done. So I'm going to leave you with it again.
All right.
And then I'll come back and see the end result, and then we're going to get you started on your feathers.
On the feathers.
Feathers, you can do it. And this is why I start gradually. We started with that hibiscus flower first to teach you how to go around the curves. Then we've come back and showed you why we would adjust different settings on the machine to make those curves easier for you to do. And then we'll challenge you with some feathers.
Okay.
Because you're going right up the ladder. In 3 lessons, you've become a beautiful, beautiful quilter.
It's not too bad for
That's pretty good.
few hours work.
That's pretty good. But I can see here you weren't controlling it on the curves as well as what had happened when we put a little bit more pressure on that foot. And that is why I encourage everybody, play with your machine, learn how to use it properly.
Right.
Okay.
Can I come just
You can
along
come down
over
there. You can come down there.
So that's what the way we want to do it, isn't it?
Yep.
There, up, back, keep going.
That's exactly right. Till you get it all filled in. So happy stitching, Simon. I'm going to go off and do some other work, and I'll come back and see your end result.
All right. Thank you.
How you going?
Good.
Good. Can you stop for a minute?
Yep.
I've been watching you.
Oh.
Looks a little bit awkward.
I feel
what
it
I want you to
sometimes.
do is I want you to fold this up.
I can fold it all the way up.
Yeah, all the way up. You know, and this is what it's called, control quilting. Be in control.
All of the things.
All of the things. Now that'll be much easier to swing in and out.
Yeah, I folded it over to try and avoid the
but it was still catching up here because
Yeah.
you still had the bulk coming up here.
Yeah.
By keeping it flat here, you don't have that problem now. That easier?
Yeah. Well,
that's good. Excellent.
there we go.
Okay, lots of rows to stitch. But you know, like
It
won't take long.
No.
And all of a sudden you'll have the lovely design done. So
Yep.
keep stitching.
All right.
Well, you've done really well. It's looking good.
Okay.
The last little bit. So have you had any challenges, do you think, now that you've worked your machine out?
No, when we tightened up the control with the pressure,
Yes.
it was a little bit easier.
It was good.
Because getting it to come into these points
Yep.
I would slow down to make sure I got that point.
That's exactly right.
'Cause
And
that's
by
the
shortening
pattern.
that stitch length allows you a better control. Because when
Yeah.
we first started, we had quite big stitches.
You could
and it was-
overshoot it, couldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're having it shorter. You were matching the point. And also by putting a little bit more pressure on there, it worked really well for you. So congratulations. That's a beautiful design, isn't it?
It's very effective.
So you could come and put some
Filling
applique
the
over
space in
that
there.
now. You could have used this on a piece block. You could have done this on any style of block you wanted to. So very, very good. Like you could even come back and put more dots on now, and you could come back this way
Ooh.
and have the melon crossing over each way, and it would look really, really fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time you better cut your thread, and it's time to do your feathers.
Feathers.
I think that's what everybody's waiting to see you do, to see if you are going to be successful for that.
Well, I feel like they are the most intimidating
Yeah, well,
of the quilting.
it has been that way, but they've been intimidating when you do them free motion, because most people, when they do free motion feathers, like me, I always thought if I could draw a feather on paper, and it took me many, 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 many hours of practicing drawing a feather to get the shape right. And then when I went to the machine and started doing it free motion, I couldn't do it. Because when you draw, this is the paper, and it's your pencil that moves, right? When you're free motioning, like if we were free motioning this, your needle becomes the pencil, but it's the paper that's moving.
The opposite.
So it's a brain flip.
It is.
So a lot of people just can't get, fair enough, you could do what we've done here. We could, if we were going to free motion this, there's no reason why you couldn't draw your design on. But the hard thing is with free motioning is once you drop those feed dogs down and put your free motion foot on, which can be called a stippling foot, a darning foot, it's called all different names, but we'll take you to that area down the track.
I saw it in the kitty of the bag. It's the little round hoop thing.
Yep.
Bit of a spring on it.
That's exactly right. Well, if you're using that, because your feed dogs are not working, and you've got your foot right down on the fabric, and that foot jumps off the fabric every time the needle goes down, the foot jumps up. So there's no pressure on the foot at all. And if you take your hands off the fabric, your stitches will jump to the side when you're free motioning. Your hands have to be the pressure.
Right.
Because there's no pressure on the foot automatically, because that's the foot we use. So it's very complicated, and we can teach everybody that down the track, but this is a good way to start. So now when we're going to stitch this, you could stitch up this spine first, and then you could come back around, and you could come double stitch over that line and come down, double stitch over that line. And that's how I like to do feathers. Or we could start here and do around here, come up this, come around, back, and come back up.
I think I like the first method because you only do the spine once.
Right, exactly.
And that way it'll always look nice and neat.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking it will.
Yep, yes, exactly. So that's the way we can do it. But there's, as we come down here further, I'm going to show you another little tip.
Okay.
So if you start off the way we've been starting, by drawing the bobbin thread up, putting your stitch length right down to 0.
Oh.
Just getting all your threads sorted. Right. Isn't that all handy?
Oh. Pulled it from the wrong end.
You've got a ton of thread
Pulled
now.
half my bobbin thread out.
Right, put them back underneath your foot.
Yeah.
Then put your stitch length down to 0. Okay, do those couple of little stitches to start with. Are you on the spine here? No, you're not. You're not right on it. There you go. Now stitch length up to 1. Now up to 3. That's it.
Right, yep.
Now I would fold this up once again, just like so.
Mm-hmm.
Put your hand up here. Right, now off you go. And it's very easy, isn't it, to stitch that curve?
Well, yeah, now that I've been doing all of the dot-to-dot curves,
Yes.
this gentle curve is very easy.
And that's what we've done. We've taken you step by step by step till you get to this level.
So you reckon I can just go around here?
You might want to cut those threads.
I do.
Well, remember you were just stitching before and you put more pressure on the foot, didn't you?
I did.
So you might want to take a bit of pressure off the foot to come around these tight curves.
Okay.
No. Yes, that's right. Up to minus. That's it. Go all the way up till you can't go any further.
Yeah.
Now come back a little bit. And you've just got to, that's too much because you've gone more now than what was on it.
I think that's...
Try that.
Okay.
Now go around that corner, and if it doesn't slide around there nicely for you, you need to release a bit more pressure.
Right.
And it's an individual thing as how much pressure we have on that foot to how you drive that
I'm
fabric.
going to get around here.
Well, you're going to just come around like so.
All right.
Okay. Just like you're driving a car around a corner.
Taking the apex like Dad taught me.
Yep. Now stop.
Oh, I got some...
Now roll that up.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, our parents teach us some good things, don't they?
They do.
Now stop. Now pull this around. That's it. Just work with your curve. Don't be rushing it all the time. Slow
I'm not quite
and
on
steady.
the line, but...
Who's going to know that? Now let this go now. There you go.
Okay. Down
That's
to
it.
the spine,
Yes,
then
down.
around.
Yep.
Down.
Stop. Now pivot right round, lift your foot. Back on the spine. Now I'm going to suggest your stitch length's too long. Okay, so let's go down to 2.8 again.
I also agree with that.
Yep.
I think doing one of those was a good way of like fine-tuning, knowing when things change.
Exactly. And that's why I say work on samples. Just sit at your machine, and if you never use these for anything, they're a good learning tool. They're a good thing to look back at. Write some instructions on here. What stitch length you are working with. Now you can use your knee lift here if you want to lift this as you pivot around. Now the tighter you have this folded up over you, the better it is.
I just got so used to driving from back here.
But now you're on much tighter curves, so keep your fabric tighter. See that? Is that easier?
Okay, that's easier.
Because it's not dragging.
No.
And this is why it doesn't really work on a big quilt to do quilting like this. But now we've got a beautiful stitch. Okay. Your stitch length is much better. Now you're driving it nicely.
Right.
You've got the right amount of pressure. You've got the right stitch length. Look at you go.
It's
And it's a confidence building thing, isn't it?
I think I'm getting used to it. It's all...
You're getting used to the lines. You're getting used to the curves.
Oops.
But this first time doing feathers, you should be very, very proud of them. And it's like a car. We don't keep going around a really windy curve on a road if we can't control the speed of the car. So it's like quilting is exactly like driving a car. You need to control that speed so that you can get that flow.
And that was the counterintuitive thing because I'm driving with my left foot. We're in the car.
Yep,
I've got my
driving with
right
your
foot,
right.
but
So
I'm
now
now used to it. I
I'm
like
going
it
to get
better.
you to slow the machine down. So I've put it on half speed now. Let's see how you go.
Oh, okay. Does that mean no matter how much I put my foot on,
Yep,
it won't go?
it's like cruise control.
Ah,
Okay, it's set at a speed now.
yes, it's slower.
Okay, which might be good for you on these tight curves.
Let's have a look.
Now, how's that going? Now, on the next one, we'll even slow it down more.
Okay,
So
I'm more relaxed.
you're more relaxed. Okay, we'll slow it down a bit more to see. And once again, it's working out what is right for you. We're all different. We've got to find out how we can manage it.
The stitch length stayed the same.
Yes?
Everything looks the same,
Well, it will because it's set.
but
It won't change.
we're just going a little bit slower.
Yes.
I see.
Now, stop. Because what we're going to do here is use another feature on the machine. So we need your needle up. Right, so now see we've got the edge of the foot. Can I just have the awl so that we can just point things out? We've got our foot here with this little piece here.
Yeah.
So what we can do is when we do the next one, you could use that inside edge of the foot right on this stitching line, which means we're not going to stitch back on this line because what we're going to do is we're going to move the needle position over a couple of positions. I just want to see where that needle's coming to. No, that's too far. Okay, so I've moved the needle over. So what you're going to do is run that inside edge of that foot on this stitching line.
Okay.
Right? And then the needle's going to stitch in here.
All right.
So when we get around to here, we're going to come back onto the line and stay on the line, and then when we do the next one, we're going to use the inside edge of the foot against the stitching line. So we'll have a little gap in the stitching.
But I'm meeting back up at that point.
Yes, so you'll come in and you'll angle back to that.
Okay.
So you won't be on top of it, you'll just angle back a little bit.
And then follow down.
Yes, so that's splitting the feathers apart then.
Oh, that'll
So
change the look at them.
this is really training you to keep your eye on the mark, which the side of the foot is your mark now.
All right. Keep moving that goalpost,
Yeah,
Pauline.
and slow your needle down a little bit more so you really are in control. That's it. That's excellent.
So about now I'm going to come back over.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, you just offered a little bit. That's okay. Now, you'll come around and you'll stay on the line.
All right.
Right, so see that?
Yeah, I like that.
So it's splitting the feathers apart. And it's another way of doing feathers. So let's do this one now.
If you made that even wider, you'd end up sort of looking like a fern.
Yep, exactly. There's no rules, but it's learning about your machine and it's learning about being in control of your machine. And the more you do this, the faster it's going to become. You'll hardly ever slow your machine down because you'll get used to the curves, you'll get used to what you're doing and how your eye's going to stay in on the line. Perfect. I can think we can really say Simon's nearly a quilter. He's made a quilt top, he's quilted it in the ditch, he's put it together, quilt as you go, and now he's learning how to master feathers. So
Got it.
got it.
Got it.
Spot on.
Yeah, that's tidy.
It's nice when you're confident with yourself, isn't it?
It's pretty satisfying.
Well, I think anybody that can stitch feathers out like this would feel very, very proud that they've done it. So I'm just going to go up and grab some other samples that I've quilted out.
Yep.
Just to show everybody.
Ooh. Finished.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty impressed myself.
Wow. That is excellent. Like, the spine's perfect, and you can see here it was wonky coming around here because
Yeah.
we had the stitch lengths too long.
Yeah.
And once we reduce the stitch length down, your curves become better. And we took a little bit of pressure off the foot.
Yes, and a little bit of pressure off me by
Yes.
reducing the speed.
Yes. And then, like when we went here, we weren't quite on the spine here when we started, but that's okay. And you didn't quite connect it here. But look here. Yay, big tick.
All right. Tick.
Cross here.
Ah,
And you've gone a little bit wonky here, but from there on in, it went really, really well. Oh,
Don't
what
look at
happened
the-
here?
that was the last one, and
So you were thinking about finishing, weren't you?
fatigue kicked in. But, you know, you can just rub that out, and you wouldn't know that I didn't get on the
That's
line.
perfect.
See that?
And that can happen, you know, you can just come back and, but well done.
Thank you.
Well done. And like, you do feathers again, it'll get better. You do it again and again, it'll be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Because they do require the nice shape, the nice curve,
They do.
compared to the templates or the dot to dots, where we want to get nice curves and stuff. But this is
Well, this is really,
little
it
bit-
really is, the machine, you know, we're controlling everything with the machine by adjusting the machine, but it's
Yeah.
getting control of your eye and how to hold the fabric that you need the practice with. And
Yeah.
everybody needs practice. We can't do it perfect every time, first time.
no.
Okay, so I just want to show you, I've drawn this one up. Well, I've been waiting for you. So I did a double spine,
Ah, yes.
and then I've used different shapes, and see how we've put different curves into it, and we've used some of the little shapes on the templates
Yeah.
just to give it a whole different movement. So,
Hmm.
you know, you might want to stitch this one out one day.
Well, you see it where somebody's made a quilt and they've come into a corner and then back out, but kept the feathers going in and out of the corner. I like that.
Exactly.
And I see how you could do that just by using a curved spine in
Yep,
and the templates.
exactly. And this one here, we've done much what you've done, but we've used the more elongated set of templates
Yeah.
that are in the pack. And here we've done both sides, but see all the shapes are different.
It is.
You know, even I went wonky.
When you were doing these tighter curves, were there small adjustments you made?
Yes,
like we
I
made along the
reduced my
way?
stitch length down, and I took a little bit more pressure off the foot.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't slow my machine down because of all the years of sewing I've done. I've learnt to be able to control the speed of the accelerator with my foot.
Right.
It's just like learning to drive a car. You learn all of those bits and pieces. This one here, this one's come from, which one? From this big template, and I used that shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just moved my needle position over like I showed you to do.
Same technique here.
Same technique. And look how good it looks when you keep coming back to that centre point. You get a build-up of threads, which is really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Almost looks radiant from that little
It
center
does.
part.
So it's not a feather, but it's from the feather shape.
Ah, so you can
Okay.
do more than just feathers with the
Exactly.
feather templates.
As you can with the dot to dot, you use the dot to dot, one of the templates in it, to get your spine.
Yes.
So they're very interactive, and that's what we try to do, is make them so they're usable for more than one thing. And this. So now with this one, when I stitched this one out, I did each one of these and then come back on the spine. I went up there and come back and went back on the spine. So every time I went round and see the gap I've left.
Yeah. Did you draw the Did you draw those with a gap, or you
No,
just
no, I
made the
moved the
gap?
needle position like I
Ah,
showed you to do.
I see.
But on yours, we moved it over a bit further, so you've got a bigger gap.
Yeah.
So here, I only moved it over one needle position,
Okay.
and I've got that. But by coming back onto the spine every time and stitching back over that, see how it's built up the thread?
Yeah.
And it's really made that spine intense and it stands out.
Mm.
So where with yours here we were stitching back over the feather shape twice,
Yeah.
where here I was only stitching over it once. So that's just the difference, that effects that we can get by doing things differently. No rules.
No rules.
No rules. It's just the only rule I say to you, learn about your sewing machine.
I think that is
Read
important.
your manual.
Read the manual.
Know what everything is in your machine is for. But I thank you for being a good student.
Ah, thank you, Pauline, for the
And
lessons and the
we,
tips.
we love teaching different people here, and you'll see more and more different people come into our lessons that we can teach. And it's just you feeling confident with what you're doing. Know that your machine will do all the control of the stitch length and everything for you. You just need to learn control of moving the fabric under the needle. So we hope we showed you lots of hints and tips.
Well, there was nothing much else. We had one template. We made the hibiscus all over, the
Yep.
dotted dots.
Yep, you've done all of this. It's just absolutely wonderful. So in
Yeah.
3 lessons, you've learned all of that. So to everybody out there, I'm going to say, if Simon can do it, you can do it.
Mm.
What do you think?
I think they can.
Yeah, good. And we'd love to see results. Let us see what you've achieved. Send us some photos of your samples. But shop around. Don't forget, we've got 12 different packs of templates now, which gives you 24, 25, 26, about 28 different template designs. Because some of them have got 3 in them, some have got 2 in them, some have only got 1.
I don't want to think of how many different combinations you could use of them to make a different.
Enough to quilt every quilt that you want to quilt for the rest of your life. So have a look at our website, www.pqw.com.au. Have a look at what specials we have running for you. Bundle up your different template packs that you want and enjoy quilting. And come back and join us for more lessons later on. So once again, thank you, Simon.
Thank you. I did enjoy it.
Oh, good, good, good. You're a bit nervous at first, I know that.
I was, because I've seen free motion done, and this is very easy, very good.
Very easy. And I would say anybody that starts their quilting journey using this control quilting technique will allow you to be a good quilter straight away, guaranteed. I'm going to guarantee it because I know you can do it. That will lead you on to being a very good free motion quilter down the track with a little bit more practice. So till we see you next time, bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.